Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever in the world. Tonight's another edition of Hong Kong House of Cards Mage Edition. This is going to be a follow-up to the scene that was just posted, which is called Staring Death in the Face. As of the beginning of this scene, Tony was hit by a tentacle that activated a wonder on her person. She'd be surrounded by a force shield and instantly transmitted to the home slash office slash shop slash sanctum of Master Atrian DeSalle. So you appear inside a room that has all sorts of mystical implements and mystical sigils. Do you have any? You have Mage Lore, right?
I do, yes.
All right, go ahead and roll it.
Okay, just Mage Lore, or is there something else?
Intelligence Mage Lore.
Okay.
Don't use Roll20. Use dice.
Yeah, I keep hitting the wrong thing. I need to just, remove that, sorry.
Roll20's okay, but it doesn't work too well in Hangouts.
Yeah, I use Roll20 primarily in my other group, and for some reason it just, morphed in with Google Hangouts for some odd reason.
Oh, no worries. 2 successes. The sigils that you're seeing are commonly used with the Order of Hermes. You looks like you're in an Order of Hermes ritual room. After about a minute for you arriving and able to get a look at your surroundings, probably grimacing in pain, the door will open and you'll see Master DeSalle standing there wearing his usual camo outfit. He will take out a pill, a little seed-looking thing, and will tell you to swallow it.
Tony will swallow it.
Congratulations. Any wounds or poisons that you currently had in your body are gone. Little gift from Arthur Wainwright.
Awesome.
So you're feeling better, but you're still covered in blood, creeped out, twitchy as fuck, and don't know exactly how you got there.
Yeah. She'll sort of nod, and by this time she's put her sword back into the sheath, and she'll clutch the Omega pendant at her neck and just kind of stand there wide-eyed looking at DeSalle.
At this point, DeSalle will lead her from the room down out of the restricted access hallway that she currently is in, and lead her to another hallway, opening up a door with a bathroom. Please do whatever you need to take care of yourself. I'll find you some fresh clothing. I only have robes. I hope they'll be suitable. Actually, no, he remembers. I'll have something suitable set outside your door for you.
Thank you. She'll mutter and then go in and start taking a very, very, very long shower.
All right. When you're finally done, by this time, DeSalle would have been able to get off the text to Asuka, so Asuka's en route. DeSalle, when you're done and you open up the door, there would be a towel in there for you. Sometimes he has to shower to work off all the sweat after he's done forging stuff. You'll find sitting outside your door a set of fatigues set to your body type and some replacement undergarments. Very functional clothing.
She'll, pull him back into the bathroom and dress, and then walk back outside, just kind of still looking around, wide-eyed and clutching the pendant.
Yeah. If you head back out to the main room, you'll see that DeSalle is currently. He would have taken your sword and cleaned it up for you. That would have been sitting out there with the fatigues. He's currently in the forge room working on a piece of metal.
Okay, so the sword's sitting outside.
Would have been sitting outside the bathroom with the fatigues.
Okay, then she'll.
Would have been cleaned, resharpened, everything.
Awesome. So she'll take that as well, and then not seeing him around in the main floor of the shop, she'll go down and try to find him there.
Yeah, he'll be in the forge. You'll actually hear the clang of metal on metal.
She'll walk over and kind of peek her head in.
When you peek inside, you'll see that he's got a length of what looks like high tensile steel that he's shaping with on the actual anvil with the hammer.
She's going to walk in, but then just kind of stand in a corner.
He'll stop and look over at Tony. Then he'll flip the hammer around and offer it to her handle first.
She'll take the hammer and just kind of hold it.
He'll motion for her to come over and hold the steel up for her, basically motioning for her to take over for him.
She'll set her sword down since it was in her other hand, and then she'll start and get to work just banging on the metal.
Yeah. He's basically going to step back and let her do whatever she wants to with the metal. So any anger, frustration, rage, basically anything that's going through her right now, he's going to let her shape into the metal.
It's an odd mix. There will be a few times where she's just, hammering it down with all of her might, but then there are other times where she'll just leave the hammer on the metal and just look really lost.
He'll watch this, and after a while he'll say, "I'm gratified that you are well."
She'll turn around to him and shrug, perhaps physically, but you were right to give me as many warnings as you did.
I am sorry it became necessary for the item I gave you to come into effect.
You lied. You told me it would just create a shield.
If I told you it would save your life, would you still have taken it?
I am not sure.
I apologize for lying to you, but I knew that whatever hold they had over you, they were going to drag you to your death, and I could not permit that.
It wasn't a hold. I did what I did of my own free will.
That is still no reason for you to die.
She'll look really frustrated for a moment, turn around and slam the hammer back down onto the metal, but then turn around back to Desal and nod. Thank you for the gift and saving my life.
I would do no less for any apprentice nor any other member of this house. I am displeased that the people that you went with saw fit to treat their own lives and the lives of those with them so discourteously.
They didn't exactly do that. Many were concerned except for one, but everyone else was at least mildly concerned. I know myself and one other were telling Min and Zahn that we should leave, but we did not, and when we did finally try to escape, we could not, and were forced into the warehouse.
That is disappointing. I know that I told you the worst place to fight a vampire is in their own lair.
I know, and I told them that, and I tried to make them understand, but it did not work. We had a flamethrower, but it had to be discarded. All of the warnings, everything that I tried to do, it seemed to end up doing nothing.
How much do you remember of what you encountered there?
As in the attacks, or as in just everything that happened?
Everything that happened, any information that you have. The reason why I ask you this, and I know it will be painful for you to try to remember, is that the vampires are still planning to take the fight to him. They are planning a larger group, a more well-armed and well facilitated group. One that will not hopefully suffer the same fate as your party.
We went in and went down this staircase. There was this massive door, and before we went through the door, Min stabbed this hulk of wood through the floor and into something. I didn't exactly get a good look, and then Min was impaled, and I focused on trying to stabilize him. There were tentacles, and they dragged Zahn off. I really tried to help, but I could only cut through one.
At this point, Desal will actually wrap her in a hug.
She's gonna lay her head on his shoulder and start quietly sobbing as she continues. It brought him into the hole. I think it was the hole. Celia, I think it was the hole. But yeah.
Ben? She's asking a question.
It was...
there was basically a fleshy mass right beneath the floor that was the cathedral.
Yeah, when Min stabbed it with the wood, right? That's where they were all dragged, or was there another hole that opened up?
Yeah, that's where they were all dragged. They were dragged into the cathedral, and yeah.
Okay. And he was dragged into the hole, and I couldn't do anything. I tried. I got Min stabilized, and then I tried to cut the tendrils that were dragging him, but I only got through one, and it ate him. Then it tried to get the other member. I can't remember, but he smelled disgusting. I think his name was Finn. It ate him as well, and then it spit him up. And that's when the building started shaking, and we tried to make our escape, and then there were more tentacles and slapped Finn somewhere. I don't even know where he went. He luckily saved Min, and before I managed to get out of the door with Min, that's when the tentacle hit me, and I ended up here.
I see. That's a new trick, one I'm not familiar with. And even with all his Zemise lore, he doesn't know about cathedrals. By this time, Oscar would arrive upstairs. Would she be ringing the buzzer?
Yes.
All right. He'll hear the buzzer go off, and will pull out his phone, opening up what looks like a CCTV. Miss Langley's here. Do you mind if I let her in?
No, it's fine.
All right. I'll leave you here to do what you want to do to the metal. But she seemed very emphatic when I told her you were here. At which point, he will go upstairs and buzz her in from the counter.
Asuka has a small box with her. The metal that was gifted to her is back in the Humvee, which Desal should be able to see, has a brand new paint job, and there was no sound of it coming up. Just wheels on pavement.
Well, Desal wouldn't have heard it come up. He would have only noticed when you rang the doorbell. So,
yeah.
All right. So with Asuka coming in, he'll notice the new paint job and say, Have you been experimenting on your ride?
New paint job, new plates that will soon be arriving, and a new engine with new gas tank.
Interesting. Miss Jiang is downstairs and she is in a bit of a state.
I can imagine what happened.
From what I understand, despite her repeated attempts, herself, the one called Min, the one called Jean, and the ratkin Finagustus all went in there, and she only remembers what happened when her ward stone activated. You can ask her yourself when you get downstairs, but right now she is in a fragile state.
Then I won't ask about details.
No,
I figured she might need a change of clothing, and I had some spares.
I appreciate it. Right now she's wearing combat fatigues. He'll open up the door so that they can all go downstairs so she doesn't have to stand upstairs wondering.
Yeah. Oscar will follow down.
So, is Tony working on the metal again?
Yeah, she's just hammering away at it again. It seems to not be taking any sort of shape at all at this point.
All right. He'll knock on the door to the forge, and this is where Oscar will actually see the forge. I don't know if I actually described it to you. It's got both the components of a high-tech forge as well as a medieval forge. Has a long horizontal heating element as well as a long vertical quenching element. You can actually smell fresh oil coming from the quencher. It's got water buckets, has oil buckets as well, and then there's actually one with smithing tools and an anvil in a fireplace style forge. And this isn't even where he makes the firearms. This is just where he makes the melee weapons.
Yeah, Oscar looks suitably impressed.
You'll see that Tony's just standing there banging on a piece of metal with a hammer.
Oscar will look for an appropriate bench to set the box on and take out of her pocket a bar of chocolate, which will also be placed on top of the box. This is, by the way, 70% chocolate.
So it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Tony's going to set the hammer down and look over when she sees Oscar come in. Now, Oscar will notice that Tony has changed a lot. She went from, pretty to supermodel. Then Tony will kind of nod in Oscar's direction, but then go back to hammering at the metal.
Yeah, Oscar will just quietly nod. She's not going to say a thing right now.
DeSalle's going to excuse himself, and then he's going to actually start making food in the nearby kitchen because he figures somebody might actually be hungry.
Eventually, Tony will stop just hammering away at the metal and turn to Oscar. Is there something that you need?
I thought you might be needing some clothes.
Thank you. The fatigues aren't too bad, but I would enjoy something perhaps a bit more comfortable, yes.
If you need someone to talk to, I'm all ears.
Perhaps sooner or later, but I would rather not speak of what happened again already, especially since I just had to recount a bit to DeSalle.
Oscar will nod in understanding, just staying quiet, and She's giving her a look that she kind of knows that Tony's going through a lot of personal trauma. Like, she's been through serious trauma before and can sympathize.
After a moment, Tony's going to look down at the ground and kind of wipe her eyes with the back of her sleeve. Zahn's dead, pretty much. I think he was eaten.
Okay, poker face. Asuka would instinctively be pleased by that, but she also knows that that would be traumatic for Tony, so warring emotions are just going to result in a poker face.
Tony's gonna look over at Asuka and kind of chuckle dryly. I figured you might be pleased at that, she says in a really angry voice.
Not entirely. For what he did to me, yes, but you obviously cared about him, so no.
DeSalle's going to walk in, set down a bottle of sake on the power hammer and some cups, and then walk out.
Tony's gonna walk over and pour herself a cup. And then promptly drink it.
Asuka is just going to be quiet. And yes, she fully accepted Tony's anger on that.
After a moment, Tony's going to, realize how she sounded and walk back over to Asuka, frowning. Sorry about that. My head,
Asuka waves one hand dismissively. You're hurting. It's natural.
I don't know. We should have left when we had the chance. We didn't, and now he's dead, and I don't know what happened to the other two, and I need to go figure out what happened to them. I can't just stay here hitting a piece of metal. I need to find them.
Then I would suggest getting together with Castle and Michaela. They have time. They have understanding of time, at least one of them. And we can do a similar trick to at least review what happened today. At least give you some closure.
I just need to make sure the other two aren't dead.
And if they're not dead, then we'll try to rescue them.
Yes, wherever they might be. I need to speak to, and she kind of snaps her fingers trying to remember, a person above Zahn, leader person. I can't remember. Yes, I need to tell him what happened. I'm certain he'll want to know. I gotta tell a lot of people and figure out what happened. And she just kind of trails off, muttering underneath her breath.
If allowed, Asuka will try to gently take one of her hands and give it a small, gentle squeeze.
Tony will look up and mutter an apology for the way she's acting.
Asuka just shakes her head and, if allowed, once again, she'll try and just draw her in for a gentle hug. Again, this is Asuka being really understanding and sympathetic.
Tony's going to wrap her arms around Asuka and just kind of lay her head on her shoulder. she's not crying at the moment, but she's
Yeah.
yeah.
And Asuka will just hold her until she doesn't need it anymore.
Probably a minute or two later, she'll disengage from the hug and kind of shake her head like she was coming to an agreement in her mind, and then nod to Asuka. Thank you. I'm sorry. I shouldn't really be feeling this way. I wasn't even really hurt. The others were way worse. I need to find them.
This owl will bring in steamed pork buns. That would not be advisable right now.
I don't care if it's not advisable. They need to be found.
I know where they are.
Oh?
Where are they?
Police radio just broadcast that a outstanding warrant for Finn Augustus has been solved, and Mr. Finn Augustus is currently being held at a hospital that is being watched over by the People's Liberation Army. He was found with an accomplice, a male herbalist of Asian descent.
Men. That's men.
In that case, we should leave them exactly where they are for the time being until they've healed. Believe it or not, they're actually quite safe where they are.
Yeah, well, if we figured this out so easily, what if somebody else does? What if the vampire finds them?
Then the trail of destruction towards the hospital would be quite obvious. And more than likely, the technocracy would intervene first.
Well, I mean, if the technocracies would intervene and I don't know, my head, it's not working. I'm sorry.
Until they figure out that Finn and Min are supernaturals, they'll leave them alone. For now, they're both just possible terrorist suspects. And they've only listed him as a partial accomplice because they don't know the whole story behind it.
In other words, Min is smart, keeps his head down, and basically acts like a standard mortal. He'll be let go after his recovery.
Hopefully he'll be wise enough to do so.
And what about Finn?
We'll have to rescue him.
And we should go do that. Now.
No, not now. It would kill him.
If we disconnect him from whatever they're using to keep him alive, he could bleed out. If the technocracy are in fact watching over that building and have suspicions about him being a supernatural, then they'll have him under an SRS.
In other words, only my and Dimitri's technology would work there, and we'd set off alarms far too quickly.
He'll then look at Asuka. You get on a video camera and you're both dead. You know that, right?
Exactly.
So we just have to leave them there?
For the moment, let them recover and heal. After that, the guard shifts won't be as intense. They'll be observing him, making sure that he is or is not a threat to reality, as they would put it. That is when it's more easy to strike and take him back.
Fine, but I can't just stand around here and do nothing. The Mandarin, I have to go talk to him. And is there somebody that, for Finn, their speaker or something?
I can get in touch with Walks the Narrows and advise him as to what's going on. As well, I believe that Miss Langley has contact information for Shosuro Hikaru, who is a emissary between the Hangyokai, between the eastern and the western shifters. Finn falls into a gray area between the two, from what I understand. Because shifter lore, bitch!
Yes.
Master DeSalle, is there anything he doesn't know? He does not know why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch so much.
He also, out of character, he also doesn't know that Zalish knows everything Zahn knows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fun.
Dun dun dun.
Oscar looks at Tony. Every effort will be made to rescue him. He is important. But given he's in critical condition at the moment, well, letting them heal him on their dime, I don't see a problem with that. And I will definitely help. Taking down the static reality bubble is something that I can do.
In the meantime, I'll also work on keeping ears and eyes inside the hospital to find out what's going on with them.
Okay, thank you. Just whatever we can do. They shouldn't die. No one should have died there.
Sal's going to walk over to this to the cabinet that has the ammunition. He's going to pull out something and he's going to toss them to Oscar.
Oscar will try to catch it.
It's not. He's going to aim it so you catch it, so it's not going to be an issue.
Okay.
It's a box. It's a box with the letters WP on it,
White phosphorus.
just in case you need some additional ammunition. If you open it up, they're all shotgun shells.
Oh, wunderbar. She'll set the shell casing aside, pull out her PDA. Let me scan a few internet sites. There might be something. And she's going to look for any public collateral to the incident.
What happened with the mass-dominated?
They would have been released back to their lives. Although probably about a dozen more are missing.
All right. Any Schwachta that were left would have basically hit the sewers and start running, at which point the Nos would have had a collective, oh no, not again, and tried to hunt them down. The Vosged more than likely would have been taken under cloak by Zalish.
Yeah. And that warehouse area is now a sinkhole.
Yeah. So Zalish has to find a new fallout shelter. Yeah.
Oscar blinks as she sees this on her PDA, and then shows the others the overhead imagery of the sinkhole.
Well, whatever you guys did certainly made a notice.
Tony looks and then kind of chuckles. Well, at least that's gone.
That's amazing. You did all of that without attracting too much attention.
I did not do much, honestly. Really, the only thing of importance I did was stabilize men. I believe Finn and Zahn were the one who were doing most of the fighting.
So, in other words, you helped save a life.
If he is still even alive or will live in that hospital.
Oh, the human body will recover. They've got excellent doctors there.
I hope so.
In the meanwhile, we'll work on your combat abilities as well.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
He'll nod his head. You may also could find some solace in teaching somebody else how to fight as well.
I don't know who I would teach.
He'll look at Asuka. Are you still going to be taking lessons from Hikaru? You mentioned that last time we talked.
Hikaru did accept the offer, but he can only teach me so far from what he said. basic beginner things.
You use the katana, don't you, Tony?
I do, yes.
Asuka's trying to learn how to use one as well.
You
Oh.
could say I'm trying to take up the family sword.
I could teach you a few things, yes.
If you
Oh.
need something to keep your mind occupied, I could also use the sword being built.
Having something to do to take my mind off of everything would be very wonderful. Yes.
Well, then I also have your first study assignment. He'll walk over to another room and open up a door, walk over to a bookcase, pull off a book, and then come back, handing it to her. It's a beginner's guide to metallurgy.
She'll take it and read over the cover before nodding. I will get to work on reading this as well.
Well, then, would you two like take some of the steam buns with you? We'll hold up the wicker basket thing that you typically use to make steam buns. They're pork filled.
No, thank you. I'm not sure I could eat anything after seeing everything in that place.
Take 3, wraps them up, and saves them for later. You're going to get very, very hungry soon.
She'll look over at Asuka and give her an odd look, but then she'll do as she was told.
Asuka holds up 2 fingers from one hand. I walked in on my mother's suicide before I awakened.
And what goes through Saul's mind is another initiate that's going to need mental health counseling.
Tony's going to look over at Asuka and bow. I'm extremely sorry for your loss. I lost my mother when I was young as well, though she was murdered.
I have come to terms with her recently, if you can't notice. And she points to her hair where there are ribbons in place of the usual hair clips.
I see, and she'll nod. Same goes for you, as you told me. If you ever want to speak or something like that, I will listen. Though I'm not sure how well that I might be in that department.
Asuka nods quietly.
Desal will just give like a soft smile and then reach into his pocket and pull out a piece of dark jade. Oh, that's right. I have to go visit Arthur. He'll look at Tony. Please lock up when you're ready to leave, and he'll head upstairs.
Oh, before you do, I can't remember. Did Asuka actually give him the hair clips yet?
No, I don't think she did.
Okay, then the hair clips will actually be sitting on top of the box, and as he starts to leave, Asuka will look at Desal. Oh, one more thing before you go, Master Desal.
He'll turn around to her. Yes, Dr. Langley?
Could you develop those hair clips for use on other people? I noticed that Serena has the same problem as me. It could be useful in the future.
He'll walk over, pick them up, flip them around in his hand. Once I come back, I'll do some research into how they work as well as what they can do, and see if the potential can be adapted to others. I don't see why not. It's a simple mind effect by the looks of it.
Yeah, it was the results of, well, as I'm starting to call it, awakening.
He'll nod his head. Of course. Should not be a problem. He'll take the hair clips and he'll take them to the restricted access area and leave them in his ritual room before heading off with the dark jade. Be well, both of you.
And you as well.
And he's off. You guys gonna do anything? I'm just saying. Yeah.
Is that 70s music I'm hearing?
Brown, 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 brown.
Oh my
I don't think that'd be happening this soon. But
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that broke up the drama.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Pretty much, I think Asuka would be hanging around Tony, just making sure she's okay.
I didn't know if you guys were gonna go back to the Doom ship or not. So
If necessary, Asuka will even let Dimitri know that she's going to be making sure Tony's okay,
all right.
because this is actually rather important.
Yep.
I think right now Tony is just gonna kind of curl up and start. Well, yeah, she'll start reading because I'm not sure. Yeah, she wouldn't really be in the right mind to. Actually, you know what? Just take that all back. She's gonna start working on the katana for Asuka.
Asuka will provide both the metal and the designs for it.
You've recognized the metal. You've seen DeSalle work with it a few times. It's perfectly folded Damascus steel, like
Okay.
high tensiles, perfect. It's you can even tell by the way it looks. You've seen enough of DeSalle's metal that DeSalle actually made those for her.
Okay.
All right, if that's going to be it, we'll go ahead and take us to a stop. Thank you, players, for playing. I didn't see any watchers, but thank you for watching if you did. This has been another edition of Hong Kong House of Cards, where we solve personal drama as best we can. Have a good day.